Throughout the multiple seasons of Squid Games, we were introduced to many interesting characters, each holding different skill sets that would allow them to survive the gruesome games. But what would happen if some of the most iconic TV show characters managed to participate in this battle to the death? From serial killers like Dexter Morgan to criminal lawyers such as Jimmy McGill, in today's video, I will be ranking all your favorite TV show's characters' ability to survive in the infamous Squid Games. To start, let's go over the tier list I created for this video. For context, I will only be referencing the games from the first season considering how iconic they are and that for the most part, it's everyone's favorite. All the way at the top, I have individuals who I think are capable of fully winning the entire thing. This means that they could make it to the final round, aka the Squid Game, and would walk out with a huge cash prize all alone, defeating every other player. Second to that, I have those who would have the ability to make it to the final game but would fall short in defeating the other players. Right underneath are people who I think could make it all the way to the 5th round but would unfortunately die in the Glass Stepping Stones games. After that are characters who would be able to survive more than a couple of the games but would meet their demise at the infamous Marble game. Third to last is the participants who would die at the team game Tug of War. This would place them somewhere in the middle of the overall tier list and their skill for this scenario in general. Right after that are players that I think would fall short at one of the most stressful but on the surface simple games within this series, which is the Sugar Honeycomb Challenge. This tier most likely racks up people who are below average in terms of survival skills and IQ. And of course, all the way at the bottom is individuals who I believe would die on the very first challenge, which is, as most of you know, red light, green light. Although it seems difficult on the surface, most incompetent participants perish on this game, and all it really does is take out those who aren't fit for the survival of the Squid Games. Now without further ado, let's discuss the man himself, Walter White.
Yes! Hell yeah! Hey, come on, baby! Come on! Yes! Come on! Ah! Yes!
When it comes to a brilliant chemistry teacher turned blue sky producer, it's safe to say that his intelligence would hold immense weight, even if he is restricted in a physical sense. It's important to remember that Mr. White had endured cancer, or depending on how you interpret his character, recently beat it. This has a great toll on the body and would not leave him capable of doing lots of prolonged exercise. But as we see in season 1, the old man, aka player 001, was arguably in worse shape than Walter, with him barely being able to run. This proves that it is indeed possible to strategically maneuver your way around these rather exerting games if you play your cards right. But unlike player 001 who still ended up making it to the marbles game, Walter White is definitely smarter, holding a high IQ, which puts him at a great advantage over others. Considering we've already seen what he would do for money, Walter White would most likely do whatever needs to be done to ensure his survival, which means killing other players even if they don't deserve it. This is why I would place him second to first at the Squid Game. The reason why I wouldn't put Walter White in the winners category is because I think his vision would get clouded towards the final games. In the show, we see how his greed allows him to not think straight, which hinders his ability to predict other players. This would be exactly similar to Sang-woo, who lost due to his evilness in the end, whereas Gi-hun came on top due to him fighting to sheerly make it out alive and not the money.
I'm a serial killer. Oh, God. Oh, that feels so amazing to say out loud.
So if one day Dexter just randomly woke up and found himself in the Squid Games, I feel like he would have a pretty good shot at winning it. And unlike many of the desperate players who act out of fear or panic just because, they're regular civilians and they really haven't had any experience in life or death situations, Dexter is calm in that aspect and has a killer survival instinct. Like, literally. He is very used to high stretch situations and he's trained to stay in control under pressure thanks to years of working in blood analysis. So in games like Red Light, Green Light, I feel like his self-discipline would give him an enormous advantage. He wouldn't just panic or rush like most people do. He knows how to control his movements exactly, just like when he carefully handles crime scenes or surgically kills his victims on the table. In the tug of war game, he wouldn't really rely only on strength, even though he is kind of built, so his strength would play a factor, but he would also rely on strategy. In the glass bridge challenge, Dexter would take his time, observe the glass, and maybe even test the panels like a forensics expert. Now, in social games like marbles, Dexter is kind of socially awkward, but then again, he knows how to read people. He could either manipulate or outthink his opponents. And in the final Squid game, which is the 1v1, I feel like this wouldn't rely on luck at all because Dexter is an advanced martial artist and he has years of experience in fighting serial killers, so Dexter would definitely win the 1v1, no doubt in my mind, 100%, thus leading him to win the Squid Game.
Hi, I'm Saul Goodman. Did you know that you have rights? The Constitution says you do, and so do I. I believe that until proven guilty, every man, woman, and child in this country is innocent.
Next up, we have Saul Goodman, who is quite an interesting character to consider when putting him in the Squid Games. Jimmy McGill is a brilliant legal mind who tends to be more of a criminal lawyer rather than one that follows everything by the book. He's incredibly sneaky and is able to cheat death not once, but multiple times in situations where he literally has a gun to his head. His skill is definitely not physical in any sense, but the way he's able to manipulate and sway even the toughest of the tough is incredible. This is why I would have to put him in glass stepping stones, and here's why. Although Walter White is in the end more smart than Saul, his skill would definitely lead him to get past the marbles game, where his manipulation and illusion would be the strongest. However, his fate would fall short, and I do think he would get what's coming to him in the glass bridge, with other players pushing him or even taking him to the grave due to his sneaky backstabbing tendencies. As we saw in the show, although Jimmy McGill was able to go on for quite a while even after being almost caught, his luck eventually does run out at the end of the day, as he isn't able to predict everything and definitely has a hard time backing down and keeping his mouth shut. This respectfully puts him slightly above average in terms of surviving the series.
Put down your weapons now!
Now, possibly one of the smartest individuals on this list is none other than Michael Scofield. In Prison Break, we see just how intelligent he is, especially when it comes to breaking out of secure facilities and thinking strategically in high-pressure situations. The man didn't just escape one prison, he escaped multiple, including some of the most high-security ones imaginable. Now, it's easy to say that he could arguably break out of the Squid Games entirely, which would technically means he wins by simply surviving without having to play by the rules. However, we have to consider that Scofield had pre-planned his entire original prison entry. He literally tattooed the blueprints of the prison onto his body, disguised as artwork. This is why in the end, I would have to place Michael Scofield in the winners category, and here's why. His level of foresight and commitment shows he's not just reactive, he's calculated and precise. Even though he wouldn't have time to prep for the Squid Games the same way, his ability to stay calm, adapt fast, and think multiple steps ahead gives him a huge edge. He'd know how to choose alliances, read people, and find loopholes in the rules. His overall advantage when it comes to surviving and winning the Squid Games is not his physical attributes, but rather his brain that is so powerful it could be considered a weapon.
Besides, I already made you a promise.
When it comes to Rick Grimes, it's important to consider what version of him we are exactly referring to. For the sake of this video, I will be referencing his post-CRM self from The Ones Who Live. Rick's ability to fight and endure the post-apocalyptic world of The Walking Dead is something no one else on this list has done, and puts him at a great advantage both mentally and physically. Despite these pros, Rick Grimes has one major disadvantage, which is his heart. This is why I would have to put him at the marbles tier, and here's why. At the end of the day, Rick Grimes is a good guy and is unable to truly kill an innocent individual or someone he has become friends with while being in the games. I believe he would end up sacrificing himself due to his heroic mentality and ability to put others before himself. He would definitely manage to get through games like Red Light, Green Light, and Tug of War, showcasing his versatility in terms of strength and agility like we've seen in The Walking Dead. He also wouldn't be messed with, as he would likely stand up for smaller individuals who are threatened by bullies, easily taking them down to assert his dominance. But like we saw in the series, the marbles game ends up taking the good people for better or for worse.
Here's your burgers.
Yeah, please let me ride up front with you.
Here's your drink.
Okay.
Here's your change.
Oh my God, thanks.
Take it.
Look, can I at least eat the sandwich before we take off?
Gotta go.
Because the food is gonna fly all over the...
We gotta go!
Next up, we got one of the sharpest shooters on this list, Barry Berkman. Now in the show Barry, we were introduced to his wide range of skills that stemmed from his time in the military. Although his strongest feature is firearms, he does have some good hand-to-hand combat and martial arts knowledge. But his IQ on the other hand isn't anything out of the ordinary and at most slightly above average. This is why I would have to place him in Sugar Honeycomb, and here's why. Although he would most definitely be able to fend for himself against other participants in terms of defending himself in times of riot, his PTSD, which could become triggered by the sound of people getting killed in brutal ways, could have a major impact on his ability to complete precise and stressful games, such as carving out the shapes from the delicate honeycomb treat. Already in the show, we see just how little patience he can have at times, which leads me to believe that he would end up rushing it and completely cracking under pressure while trying to carve it out with nothing but a tiny needle. This would unfortunately lead to his demise pretty early on compared to other characters on this list, and that's mostly due to his past trauma that would come haunting him in times of despair within the gruesome games.
Hello. Do you work here?
Guilty.
Now, when it comes to Joe Goldberg, I think there are a lot of pros and cons to his character that would allow him to thrive to a certain extent within the Squid Games. He's essentially a strategic sociopath who is extremely sneaky and at times very dangerous. Joe is certainly not afraid to cross the line of murder and sanity, but it's important to remember why he kills in the first place. And that's why I'm going to have to put Joe Goldberg in Tug of War. I unfortunately think that his smarts and mentality wouldn't cut it when it comes to surviving in this place, because he solely kills for the ones he loves for the most part. Without a specific love interest, which I highly doubt he will find at the Squid Games, it's hard to say his inner Tyler Durden would be activated. And as well, when it comes to his physique and physical strength in general, he isn't necessarily above average and is rather lackluster in that sector. With him not being able to befriend others and really fend for himself to get in the best possible group, Joe would fall short at the Tug of War game due to his lack of strength and overall ability to cooperate with other scumbags and such.
You remember now?
Pliny.
You always had trouble saying Brian.
And last but certainly not least, we have Dexter Morgan's older brother, Brian Moser. In the first season of Dexter, Biney is portrayed as a psychopathic character who is so far gone that he's able to completely fake his emotions with ease. And if that wasn't enough, he's also a serial killer with no moral code and kills for sheer pleasure, taking on the name of the Ice Truck Killer. Through the prequel Dexter Original Sin, we were able to see just how deranged he really is in terms of his ability to do whatever it takes to get what he wants, even if that means patiently waiting for over a decade to reunite with his younger brother. This is why I would place Brian Moser at glass stepping stones, and here's exactly why. Although he is incredibly intelligent in terms of waiting patiently to strike his prey, his need to kill would also hinder his ability to keep his focus on what really matters, which is surviving and making it out alive. And I truly do believe his luck would end up running out right around the glass stepping stones game. This in the end puts him above average in terms of enduring the series and would put up a good fight nonetheless in these intense games. It's important to keep in mind that these rankings are my personal opinion and that there is definitely room for characters to be moved around one way or another. However, I honestly think that for the most part, these characters' places do make sense with the arguments I used, but as always, let me know what you think in the comments down below. If you enjoyed this video and would like early access, ad-free content, please go check out my Patreon to see what interests you. Be sure to like and subscribe for more videos like this, and join the Discord to discuss your favorite pieces of media. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you all next time.